Welcome to U2NIVERSITY podcast, and welcome our special guest, Mr. Jeffrey Legree, or otherwise known as Coach Cali. What's up, Coach? How you doing?
I'm doing good. A great Sunday, I must say. No complaints at all. Hopefully, my Cowboys win today.
Well, we got one on y'all last week. I had to let that out right there. It was a tough game, though. Yeah. It's a tough game. We don't look too good this season. I can't say we don't look too good. But let's hop right into it. Me and you met, I think it was last year.
Correct.
And Coach Crane's his high school invite.
Yes.
Camp, basically.
Correct.
And it was a great camp, and it was such a pleasure to meet, so many of you guys from in that area. For myself being up here in Philly, I live in Delaware, but from Philly, and I got to experience basketball from the DMV standpoint. So, I know we're gonna get into kind of your basketball background and basketball world, but like that's my first thing. Like, what do you do? DMV basketball.
Different. My generation of balling back in the West Coast it's a little different. Growing up in the DeMarcus Nelson phase, the Leon Poe, Quentin Thomas era. Where basketball was a dominance, where there was those scholarships to junior colleges, that you get you get roster spots. Now you were one financial aid application away from a tryout with over 100 kids.
Right.
So but the game in the DMV I see today, it's a little more privileged in my opinion. A lot of kids are selected based on their talent and not their work ethic.
Okay.
And I think the work ethic part is being overlooked in a lot of kids. Reason why you see Cali Elite today, formed in the DMV. I pick kids over, their work ethic, not their talent. I know that they can work hard. They get after it. They're going to go see their trainers 3 to 4 times a week. They're going to run throughout the week. Of course, some of the kids that I gravitate to are in the inner cities, where it's less fortunate. So that also comes with their background. It's not the easiest background,
right?
Because their attitudes, their minds, their physical, mentally, and the social status of life for them is not the best. But I know they love basketball, so they're going to work hard to do something they love, despite being overlooked in a lot of areas.
Right. So that's a great thing, and I'm gonna come back to. I got another question if I can remember. But you yourself, grew up, of course, playing basketball. I saw that you went to Shaw University.
Correct.
But tell me a little bit about what it was like, with you growing up playing and kind of the differences that you see, because I know you said that it's more privileged now. So tell me a little bit more about what it was like, for you growing up playing compared to now.
Oh man, well, again, growing up in the Bay Area of California, I wouldn't say it was saturated. It was more of everybody worked as hard as me. So the mindset of, I tell everybody, even my coach would tell you, I had the heart of Kevin Garnett, even though I was little. I was 4'11" up until I was a freshman in high school, literally 4'11". But the crazy part about it is everybody tell you I can outwork anybody. Like my goal is, you're not going to block my shot. So we ran 7 heels, but today, the day we ran heels, I stayed after, or we'll go back to the school. We'll go back to the school as a group, as a team. But after practice, I run back to that same hill, and I'm running 2 more sets. So instead of 7 heels, I'm doing 21 heels. I had to double outwork everybody due to my size at the time. But it was crazy because I was giving you 30, I was giving you 20, I was giving you 25 on a nightly basis, and it was all because of the hard work and that I put in. Like my coach today, I call him my dad, Mr. Rodney Bass, back in Cali. He'll tell you, man, I shot left-handed, I shot right-handed every day. We stayed in the same apartment. It was one basketball court in our apartment complex. I played him every day. I could never beat him. Every day I tried to beat him until I could beat him until the sun came and sun went down or the sun came up. And when he beat me, I was like, man, what did I do wrong today for him to win today? Even though he was, trust me, he's a grown man. He was 6'3", I think it's about 230. I'm just posting me up, fadeaways, left hand hooks, right hand hooks. I couldn't do nothing at the size I was at.
Right.
But that made me work harder to say, okay, well, if I can get left stronger, I can finish stronger and beat him. If I can go right stronger, if I can hit this shot, like, oh, I missed this shot way too many times. And those kind of shots and stuff I would practice. And then I hit that growth spurt of growing 6-7 inches, over, my freshman, sophomore year. And then that's when things kind of changed for me in the elevation of being 5'5", 5'6" at the time. I am now 5'11". But I started dunking. I started being very, very athletic. Like people
Right.
would tell you I was a human trampoline after. Like I put in a lot of work to do what I did. And I just think playing back then it was more heart, heart and effort in opposed to, not have because today I don't think we can't teach heart as we tell our
Right.
kids, we can't teach you how to do effort. And I think that lacks a lot today in today's game. It's not a lot of heart and effort in a lot of kids. Now, some do have it. I'm not going to take that away from some, but a lot just they figure, well, I'm better than you. I'm gonna take advantage of you type deal. And then when it look bad, they're not even gonna put enough energy and effort to make it look bad, look right.
Right. Okay. Okay. So dive into a little bit about Shaw and your journey to college. We talked a little bit about high school and
Oh man, that
everything like that.
that
So
is I took the longest way around. I wasn't I kid you not. I tell it my story is very, very intriguing. So out of high school, I wasn't the brightest kid in the Bay Area. I was a trouble kid, so I was one of those. That's why I preach now. Hey, go to class, and I do all this. I didn't go to class. You know what I'm saying? So I was one of those that passed Spanish but don't know Spanish type deal because I was selling tickets for the school type deal.
right.
So by the time I got to college, I went to a school. Well, and my recruitment wasn't it should have been a little better than what it was, but it kind of got sabotaged due to, the lack of knowledge that my mom knew about recruiting and calling back coaches and responding to letters and enrolling to college early, taking the SATs. I didn't get taught that, back in the day, unless you was a top 100 player in the country. A lot of people didn't educate you on that as, down to, your supporting cast.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I didn't have a father figure fully around. So um, he came back later on in life. Like I said, that's like my best friend now, my dad. But things happen. I don't hold grudges. Because that's still about you only get one dad. One dad, one mom, one grandmother, one grandfather until the generation washes itself. But I had took my journey to Menlo College first. Being that I enrolled late, things didn't look good and promising for me. And I'm in there. They kind of like, again, here comes the communication part. That's why I harp on kids learning to communicate early, where, my mother didn't communicate with the coach. They didn't know if I was coming or they, you know what I'm saying? So by the time I enrolled, it was late. They already had extra people recruited over me. So then now I'm at this school fighting for another spot. And I kind of just said, F it, man. I don't want to hoop no more. So
Right.
it's like I tell everybody I start partying. Like, believe it or not, I got 2 master's degrees today. I, a lot of stuff going educationally for myself. I flunked out of my first semester of college, all F's. Like I got that trade. I show my kids that all the time. Like I didn't know how to read. I didn't know how to write. I didn't know what kind of notes I was supposed to be taking in a lecture, in a lecture hall.
Right.
So all I did, I was leaving in December. I partied the whole semester. I partied. I drank. I was underage drinking. Yes, I did that. I was definitely there. I can say that online. It's not the best thing. Kids do not do that. Definitely damages a lot of things and make you make crazy decisions in life. And then I left December. I joined the army. That was the most beautiful thing. I think that helped give me a little bit of discipline and around while serving. I was able to still play the game at a high level, like all army. They travel the world, the states, played against some college talent and stuff like that. I think that's kind of where I kind of got myself back in the groove of saying I can still do it because I
Right.
had, one of my coaches today for all army coach, Marcus Hall and coach Butler. he used to coach at Virginia State, man. They were just on me heavy about playing college basketball. They say I had the talent. I mean, everybody, they called me young blood. I was the youngest athletic ball player while playing in my time with the armed forces. And man, I enjoyed it under Coach Smith and Coach Hall. And then from there, man, I just like downgraded, went to JUCO, California, man. And that year was just absolutely phenomenal. I think we went 24-4 in the San Joaquin Section Valley in the Inland Empire, man. One of the toughest conferences in California. They'll tell you that the Inland Empire had league, man, playing against the San Diego's, the Comptons, the Long Beaches in school. I
Yep.
mean, we did our thing, man. I still got my MVP Christmas certificate from that. It's crazy because the championship game had 29-9-9, and man, it was just crazy. And then my recruitment picked back up
Right.
again. I was getting all the Long Beach dates and all the other good stuff, but while serving, you have to, gain rank and go to school. I knew nothing about a clock. So I didn't know, while taking classes, while serving, to gain rank and do things, your clock starts. So, that's why I said I learned my lesson throughout my journey. That's why I took the long way around. And then I almost gave up again. Like, man, I ain't playing college ball again. Forget it after JUCO. I had my fun. I lived my journey. I think it was fun. And bam, here come Coach Butler, man. You got it. And then I started my first semester out at Virginia State. And then, Coach Jacobs, he had departed due to the, family situations. And I was like, I'm going to stay. And then Coach Butler was like, well, if I get the job here, you coming with me? Because I was basically his recruit. You know how that goes.
Right.
So once he had left Virginia State, I had migrated down to the North Carolina with Coach Butler, man. Went in there, and it was mind blowing going to Shaw, just seeing the small college. Shaw is very, very, very wonderful place to be. It's very small. I think it was meant for me to be there because, again, at a larger institution, I probably wouldn't have excelled the way I excelled. Leaving there with a 3.9 GPA, being able to focus, being able to go around the corner, not, 5 blocks up the street for study hall and stuff like that. So, and just being able to play the integral role off the bench because, again, Shaw, coming in that late, everybody already had their All-Americans. We had the Curtis Hines, which is Reggie Bullock's family. We had the Andre Polks out of Ohio. Man, we had some, and we had a whole bunch of D1 bounce backs. That's what Cleo Hill do. He go get them, them D1 bounce backs. I call it the CIAA is a grown man's league.
Mm-hmm.
They don't recruit very many young men out of high school. I would say that a lot of JUCO transfers, and it was a wonderful thing, man. I had just great experience. They did my little interview, being that I was, served the military. I gave up my scholarship there and used the GI Bill because, I didn't need the money. They wanted to give me a scholarship, but I figured, give it to another deserving athlete that needed the money. There's kids out there struggling, but I knew the VA loan or the VA disability education plan was going to pay for me in full, So I actually did that. That was a wonderful thing, is to give it to seeing them kids not struggle. That's kind of what I like to do. I didn't want to see them struggle. So another reason why I kind of gave up that scholarship to another person. And I just enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed the atmosphere. And then my senior year at Shaw was kind of cut short due to an automobile accident. It was life-threatening. Where I've been to war, and I've never had a surgery a day in my life. But I tore the labrum rotator cuff, the nerves in my left shoulder, my right arm snapped in half. I had 27 orbital fractures in my face. I was supposed to be blind in my left eye, but God fixed that. Prayer fixes things. I did, but if you don't believe, you got to believe. I tell everybody that, but I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be on this podcast today. I truthfully be telling you the truth. And then that pretty much it. But as I tried to recover, I helped others get into school in the midst of doing that. Like one of my good friends, Jamar Cooper, actually very, very still call him my brother today. Allowed him to come just stay with me free of charge. Hey, I told him to go to school, get out the streets of Petersburg, graduate, get your degree, play basketball. That's kind of what I kind of started doing following my injury, knowing that who knew I was going to ever play basketball again. And so that's kind of where my mindset shifted to, was helping young men and young women like myself growing up, because I didn't have the best, teaching them, hey, man, this is what you need to do. This is what you got to do to be successful. And that's kind of where I tell everybody I was doing Cali Elite off the books for a long time, just out of my own pocket and help. And then everybody, just some great mentor of mine, like, you need to make this a nonprofit, man. You can do a lot of things helping kids the way you're doing. And
Right.
that's kind of what I did, just helping young men and women get into school and ensuring that they're, especially young men of color too. I like to say that. There's a lot of discrepancy with that, I think, in a lot of places, and I think it's overlooked because a lot of people don't understand the struggle that a young man and woman of color, struggle with getting, the resources they need to be at a university, or being able to survive in life. And like I said, I love the end results, because now, like I said, Mr. Cooper got a great job. He has his degree. He has a family, and he thanks me every day for the things that I do. His mom, may she rest in peace. She cried on his graduation day, thanking me, allowing him to change his life and stuff like that. And like I said, hey, don't thank me. He did it. He did the work. I'm just here to help.
Right.
I don't like taking the praise. Even when we win tournaments, like, I don't like taking the praise for it. I mean, they did the work. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you
Yep.
ask the kids today, I don't preach about winning. I preach about, if you follow instructions, if you discipline, you communicate, you stick together, you guys will win. That is my
Yep.
speech to them. I don't just say we're coming in here and winning these games. No, that's not the conversation. Because if you listen to anything that your coaches or your fathers, your mothers tell you, down to your attitude, physically, mentally, and socially, you can win and be successful at life, not just basketball.
Yep. Most definitely.
So,
Most definitely. So that's and crazy thing. I'm glad we getting to have this conversation, because like I didn't know any of that stuff. I mean, we haven't gotten to sit and talk, and learn about each other, at this level. But that's great, and what you've been through. Like you said, that's all a part of God's will. It's all a part of God's plan. You here for a reason.
yeah.
And what you're doing is like you said, it's bigger than you, and it's amazing to hear that. And most people, and not most, a lot of people, can learn from your story, and how you just continue to push on and push on and push on. I'm grateful to hear about your story. So, kudos to you and everything that you're doing. So you talked a little bit about Cal Elite. So, dive into just you guys' experience over the last couple of years. You guys are, to me, you're a big program because of what you're doing for the kids. Because now what AAU is anybody can make an AAU team.
Correct.
Anybody can just go and say, all right, well, I need 5 kids. Let's just go play in the tournament. It only costs whatever, whatever. And like, it's not, to me, it's not what it's, you know, has been or supposed to be. So, tell me just about your experience, the kids that you're bringing in, and the effect that it has, that your nonprofit has on the community, up in the DMV.
Well, let's get it. It's crazy because I always said that I wasn't gonna coach, big dog. I ain't gonna tell you. I was like, I gave up coaching AAU. I say, man, back about 2016-ish time frame.
Okay.
I was just, and believe it or not, I was just drained by the parents, most
Yeah.
parents, not all. And I was like, man, you know what? I just want to just help kids mentally, like, just prepare them for the game, get away from coaching. Because my mind, I lose it a little bit. Like, I hate, if it ain't right or organized, I tend to just say, I'm gonna keep it real person. Like, I think
Yep.
some people, especially in life, even at work today, I mean, my main job, like, I like to keep it 100. Like, if you don't know how to take constructive criticism, then you're not meant to be around me. Like, I
Right.
just think that's just who I am, and I'm gonna tell you, hey man, you're doing something wrong, because I know, like I told you, I'm not supposed to be here, dog. Like,
Right.
I really was in a deadly car accident. Like, if you see the
Yep.
picture, I don't know how I survived it, like, type deal. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, like, over the years, and then I'm watching my son, my son Josiah and Jesse, my sons Josiah and Jesse play, and then it's like, man, I'm spending this money on these big time programs, but because we're not donating, an ups amount of money to a lot of these big programs, your kids don't play. And
Right.
it's like, I'm traveling, Pittsburgh, we traveling to, Texas, we traveling to Georgia, and we getting 5 minutes in a weekend, right? But mind you, because the person playing above your kids is, such and such son from the NBA or such and such son, retired NBA player or big time college player, or he's the big time player in the state type deal, or you even got some kids, let's do an example of like, one of the richest, let's say the richest man in the country, right? His son plays on this, this Nike or Adidas team, right?
Right.
Because he donated $25,000 to the program. His son is allotted,
Yep.
15 to 22 minutes a game
Yeah.
type situation. I ain't giving $22,000 for the AAU season. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not doing that. Sorry. And on top of travel, I just like some of the private schools. Like, it's worth it, but I know there's ways you can make it reasonable to say, hey, it's affordable for him to go. There is there's help everywhere. Figure out where the help is, right?
Right.
And then my son was like, well, I was like, you know what? I pulled him. Like, we just gonna work out. Like, this type of deal we gonna do. We ain't playing no basketball. I'm just over. I mean, we spending $3,000-4,000 in a weekend with travel, food, car, hotel. And then, little Johnny, his friends need a ride type.
Yeah.
Nah. So I quit, came back, and then I was just, Dad, can we form our own team? I'm like, nah, heck no. Heck no. Heck no. Heck no. We're gonna keep working out. I made it work out harder, even saying that outside the garage. We ran extra hills that day. We know how I said, like we just went. I mean, during that time, I get the boys up 5:30 in the morning. We in the gym. Well, my garage is the gym. I live around the corner from a hill, so I do a lot of working out right outside. Just our own doors. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put you with my guy, Coop. My man. I told you him and his Mr. Dean, Coach Dean. Down in the Petersburg area, they had a little Truly Us Elite going. So I just drive them up there. I sit back on the end of the bench. I'm clapping, helping my mans out. I'm like, hey, my mans, like, I know you'll get some bump with my mans over my bro over here.
Uh-huh.
And, and it came to it, again, background, trying to get to the bigger tournaments like the big shots. And you got to take the licenses during live periods, stuff like that. But they couldn't do it based on, geographical background, things happen in life. So you couldn't pass the background check. They was like, Jeff. I said, yeah. I was like, what's up? He was like, man, listen, we need you. I was like, need me for what? All right, take this trade. That mess. I was like, you know what? I'm doing it for the kids. They'll tell you today. I told them I'll do it for the kids. I spent all this money during a live period to get a gold license in 24 hours, literally.
Right.
So I'm taking it. I'm like, man, these classes is long. You can't.
Yeah.
You cannot afford these videos. I told him, man, listen, them kids ain't going. We're going to take them back to a regular Coach Carter joint in Richmond or a Coach Crane joint down in Chester or something.
Right.
We ain't about to do this. Like, man, Jeff, you got to do it. When these kids is good. I'm like, all right. So, man, I did it. Knocked it out in about 4 hours of everything, right? Got my little paper license, the little number, gold license number. Yep. And then we headed to July live period down in Hampton. I think it was at the Hampton Convention Center, right?
Yep.
We got both my son he in the 8th grade playing 16. We playing 16U. And then Joe was 9th, Jesse was 8th grade. I had a Jalen Johnson was 8th grade. I mean, I had some young, but we playing 16.
Right.
Right. We in this Joe. I come out to that. So I'm in my mix now. So I was like, all right, man, I gotta scout these teams out. So I'm on Ballers TV. I'm writing the scouting report. I got the kids in the lobby at the hotel. We learning. All right, man, we undersized. We ain't got as much talent. We young. Blah, blah, blah. But if you do this, we'll win by 8. They was like, all right, yes, coach. Yes, coach, we got it. Man, they went in that first game, did everything I asked during the scouting report. Boom, we won by 10. And they was out there cooking. And I was like, oh, okay, so I'm in the mix. I'm all right, cool. Game 2, we do this. We went by 12. They get in there, do the same thing. Boom, we beating teams up. And man, they got us in I think we was in the silver bracket though. I ain't learned the brackets until about last year with everything. And I ain't care because like I said, this is the first year coaching back AAU.
Right. And
I got all these young boys, 7th, 8th graders right now, man. And they in there cooking. Like we beating teams left and right, man. It was like, all these inner city hood kids and everything, man. They was like, man, Coach Jeff hard on us, man, but we winning. Right. Like, keep it rolling. Then we got to the championship, and we were just outnumbered by the Wave Basketball Club, right?
Mhm.
Man, it was just crazy, man. It's a great program. I didn't like how I started out with them playing against them. I felt, and I'm gonna say it today. I'm a man of my word, and what I'm saying. I like to keep it 100 with everybody. I ain't. There's sportsmanship in basketball, right? That you're supposed to teach, yourself and young men and young women. And I felt like they knew they was out. They outnumbered us. I guess they're one of the 2, 3 years ago back, and it was just a disrespect. I felt
Right.
like they tried to bring to. We wasn't even Cali Elite then. It was truly us elite, truly us at the time. That was their name, and I felt like they could have just respected the game and opposed to these are kids you're talking about. So and I didn't like it. So when we finally saw them again, I say years later, I beat the brakes off of them. I'm gonna tell you that by 50. I'm gonna tell you, I say, you know what? I'm coming back, and I wasn't playing because when I see every time I seem to find them on the bracket, they fall off my bracket, like in all the tournaments. And we
Right.
finally got them at Boo Williams. When I got them, I didn't press. Listen, it was all gas, no brake. And I'm gonna tell you that. Hey, don't. You, I can't. Like I'm saying, I feel like we even now. So now we can shake
Right.
hands and be respectful. But at the end of the day, that's what you do to your opponents when they disrespect you like that. But I finished that summer. It was crazy, 12-1, and I wasn't even
Okay.
supposed to be coaching. So then I was like, you know what? I'm heading into the next year. We're coming in my own program. So
Yeah.
following, that's July, early August, that September, I created September 2021. I created Cali Elite on paperwork, making it a non 501c3 nonprofit. But there's more to it of what we do. Being I am a veteran, I like to service veterans and stuff like that, and give back to ensuring that they understand, things that's out there for them. They can call and contact. That's why we try to help provide the mental health. We try to provide the financial guidance, jobs, and stuff like that. But on top of that, I try to incorporate the youth.
Yeah.
I want the youth to give that back. They need to understand. They need to see, what I'm saying, what's out there. So the reason why I try to get the youth out there feeding the homeless, quarterly, or being out there picking up trash along the highway with the older people, getting out there. Like next week, we're doing packing day. Last year, I was part of the In Between Ministries Community Palooza.
Okay.
We packed 500 bags of food last year. This year we're doing 1,000. Like you see my kitchen upstairs, it's full of cornbread. So Callie Lee's in charge of collecting cornbread. I got some of the kids that play for me coming out helping doing that. Just being able to see that and give them back out there doing that. On top of like I said, the struggles you heard earlier in my deal of education. Reason why I do the educational workshops, from resume building, from financial literacy, from learning about NIL deals, from learning about reading and writing from our Not Your Average Tutor. She does her workshops. So there's various things I try to do to incorporate, the struggle that I had to deal with, but teaching the inner city kids and those less fortunate, they don't have the resources to give them resources. I don't charge nothing. It's
Right.
free. So as you see, I'm writing, grants. I'm asking for donations for a lot of the stuff I do for these kids because they need it.
Right.
And again, a lot of coaches, not all coaches. I'm not talking about all coaches, but they're those who are out there. They know that they're who they are, right? They're there.
Right.
They're not coaching these kids to be coaching them to make it through life. They just doing it because they're getting that $500, $1,000 stipend to be a part of the team at the school, and they're just going through the motions. But
Right.
understanding like these kids have futures. This is something they really want to do, and I feel like some of them are getting discouraged by a lot of coaches, those coaches. Like I said, I don't know those coaches personally, because they're not teaching them what to do. You know what I'm saying? Hey, are you going to class? Hey, we need to have a study hall. Hey, you need to take your SATs as a freshman and sophomore to see where it places you for your junior, senior year.
Yep.
You need to understand that stuff. Like, hey, have you applied for colleges? Hey, you know what I'm saying? All that other good stuff. Like, I feel like I'm doing that even with some kids that are still playing high school basketball. Like, I'm working 24/7, like literally
Right.
for the kids that's a part of my program. Even kids that's outside of my program, they calling me, "Hey, Coach Kelly, I need help with this." All right, cool. Blah, blah, blah. This is what you got to do. ABC. If you follow these plans, you'll get DEF.
Yep.
Right. And they coming back, boom. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm all about the kids, man. It's not
Yeah.
about, I don't even be talking basketball. As you can see, a lot of the
Yeah.
times outside of my personal day, it's all about what you do, how you carry yourself off the court, mentally, physically, and socially, which will help you perform on the
Yep.
court type deal. So I'm very, very, very strict on the off the court stuff because it shapes who you are.
Yep. Definitely. Definitely. Um, couple more, little quick hitters for you. So got your boys. I know Josiah more than I know Jesse because I met
Yeah,
Josiah last year. I
yeah,
don't think I formally met Jesse.
yeah.
But Josiah had a great summer this
Oh
year,
yeah.
and there was the game at Hoop Group or the tournament at Hoop Group, and the one where I can't remember the exact stat. I knew he took off for like what was it? Something crazy in the second half, and y'all came back.
Oh
Y'all
yeah,
won
yeah,
that
yeah.
game.
That game was unbelievable. I know that 30.
Like dive into that game and tell me a little bit about like just the experience with. I know you guys were trying to get the picture across about how his performance and how he wasn't. They'll look at, like you would say, a big name player or a top 100 player, but like, now when it comes to him and he has his big performance, why are we not getting the recognition that we need? So, like, tell me a little bit about, just that game and then just dive into a little bit about, how you guys kind of, felt in regards to the game after the fact.
Yeah, and man, listen, it is crazy because everybody be like, you hard on your son, man. People don't understand. Like, I really don't bother him no more. Like, I'm really hands off. He
Right.
doesn't want to play for nobody else because he hates politics. I think he's going to go to school and grow in life to just not do anything with the government or not do anything that just require. I mean, but life is going to require politics. I think just based on how he views things, he may be a successful entrepreneur for himself.
Right.
I think that's kind of where he's going to lead to doing things for himself. Because he doesn't like the involvement of politics, which I doesn't. And again, there's a lot of kids out there that did make. That's some reason why some kids choose to go to HBCUs because they want to be a voice for themselves.
Right.
So but dating back to that tournament, which was the Southern Jam Fest, everybody knows the Southern Jam Fest for Hoop Group is probably one of the biggest tournaments in this area. Around that what is that? What holiday falls? Memorial Day?
Yes.
Yes, around Memorial Day weekend. And we played it the last couple years with our family, Fabo the Rebels, and we're one as brother sister. I'm more like brother program. I wouldn't say
Right.
brother sister, but man, it was just crazy watching him. He scored, a lot of points that weekend. And then let's fast forward to that game, man. It was just we were down 26 at the half. I mean, they came out strong, man. Like they were like hitting everything. They were doing everything. Everybody looked at the video. Oh, he was dancing in the video. Well, you got to understand why he was dancing. I mean, the guys that was talking trash to him. I mean, he had a subpar first half. I think he only had like 15, 16 points in the first half. But it's like nothing was falling for us. Everything was short on the rim. A lot of turnovers for the team. Laziness. Like me and Coach Sean thought the game was over. Like we was like, man, look, we start clearing the bench. We was like, man, we down 26. And then I guess the kid that hit a buzzer beater or somewhat of a close to a shot on Josiah in his face did a little dance at him before halftime. And then Josiah looked at him, stood there for a minute. And then he walked to the bench, looked that up, and then he walked to the other bench and told the coach, "We not losing." I said, boy, get over here. You know you don't do that. I said, me, I'm big. Don't disrespect him like that. Like, don't talk to the other coach like that. That's what I'm big on, like being respectful. Like, even though
Right.
he enjoys, he's just having fun with the game. Um, Man, he came out torching. I mean, 35 points in 12 minutes. I mean,
Wow.
anything you can think of.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, and it's running clock.
Right. Right. Yep.
14-minute half running clock at a hoop group event and scores 35 points in 12 minutes. He sat out for a minute and a half, sat at the court table with 30 seconds, and that was his break for the whole half. And did everything you could think of, man. 35 freaking points in 12 minutes. Threes, dunks, layups, blocks,
Yep.
steals, crawling on the floor. Like it was just like everything you could think of, he did it. and then the 4-point play at the end, which sealed the deal for us to win by 2. And mind me, we're down 26 at the half. Like we literally was like, man, this game, oh, we going home in the morning. Hey, pack your bag. Like this making the road trip easier,
Yep.
right? Because we go all the way back to Maryland to get
Yeah.
so long story short, man, this dominance killed. Man, it's crazy. 10 hours later, he does the same thing in a championship game. Joker scores 38 in the first half of a first in the championship, finished the game like 203 points in 5 games in the Southern JFS was unheard of.
Right.
So then it was like, you know, everybody you see hoop group, and nothing against some good guys. I know some of those people personally. I just feel like a lot of these hoop group big shots, marquee hoop tournaments should be advertising a lot of these local independent talents, right?
Yeah.
I get the fact that you got your platinum brackets with the whole bunch of invitations. A lot of those teams are free.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We know those backgrounds,
Yep.
and we not the Durants, we not the Mellos, we not the what I'm saying, the CP3s, but if we were those teams, they would have been all over the internet by now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Well, why can a little team like Cali Elite or Fabo Running Rebels guys get the recognition they deserve after the dominance? Like it wasn't just my son either. It was a group effort. I mean, if you look at the team,
Right.
you had the Dakota Sellers, you have the Clarence, McBride Allen, CJs from Delaware, Sussex, Delaware. You got the Jaden Robinsons, who's now at Lower Merion.
Yep.
You got the Gary Pittmans down in Baltimore. Like they dominated, like as a group, despite his high scoring weekend. Like, where is their recognition? Like, and I feel like that's where a lot of the recruitment is falling short because we paying $600-700 to go to these places and we're winning, but there's no recognition of us winning.
Right.
And we now know social media and pushing the narrative of ABC is very, very good. So let's see what DEF is worried about, their next tournament type deal. Let me show up to watch these guys. And
Yeah.
I feel like they wasn't doing it. So everybody, I'm a voice for anything that I do, regardless. Um, Down to the kids, the parents, and I like I said, if you can't handle constructive criticism, you can't be around me. You can't be around Cat Elite. You can't be around my program, because I'm gonna tell you like it is. Like you're wrong, and I want you to tell me like I is if I'm wrong,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like I'm very big on constructive criticism across the board, and I feel like it wasn't right. So I stood up for my group of guys. It wasn't just my son. I stood up for the group. Like, hey, these kids played this. My son did this. There's
Right.
unheard of in your tournament. Like a back-to-back 50-point games. That's unheard of.
Right.
Like not even some of your big names done that in 14 minutes running clock. So yes, I made that post. Yes, I got about over 100, 200 people to at them to wake them up. And then I
Yeah.
got them to finally call me, have a conversation. Oh, call me. They said, yeah, you should have called me. We would have been back there. We would have sent the guy. No, 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 no. I shouldn't have to call you, brother. This
Right.
is your tournament.
Yeah.
You should have guys in each section of any gym that you're at.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where that's part of your planning. That's part of that's why I said I have OCD with organization. So if
Yep.
you're running an event, there should be eyes on each angle of what you got going on to capture moments,
Yep.
because you cannot write a full story without the whole story.
Yep.
That means you've been giving false narrative to a lot of people over these years to tell me that I should call you if my player personally did this. That's not how that works. This is not my
Exactly.
I'm not getting paid to call you. I can't go coach if we're having a phenomenal game to find a lead director of the gym to say, hey, come back and watch this game. No, that's not how that works. I don't have that. You guys only give 3 timeouts in the whole game. It should be
Yeah.
2 per half, literally, but I'll leave that alone too. But yeah, it's a lot of things that just not happening. Of course, and I don't even think you don't even get surveys following tournaments to coaches to say, hey, what can we do better? I think that is something they need to do. in the future because there's a lot of things I do see that needs to happen,
Mhm.
that needs to change across the board. Down to cleaning up the bench. As you see, everybody look at every tournament. I'm dragging a trash can along a bench I got to sit on. Like it's just crazy. I don't like that. Like, and I feel like that should be thrown into the narrative. Like if I like when I ran my little showcase for the kids here in Fredericksburg, man, that was mandatory that you clean up before you leave your bench. If you didn't leave your bench, you got to come see me. Like we are grown
Yeah.
kids here in high school. I shouldn't have to be cleaning up after you when you leave an area. Grab all your belongings, put it over here. That's just like
Yep.
I'm very strict with my kids. Like when they're getting dressed before the game, make sure everything is in your bag. Put your bag neatly across here because I don't want to be there. I don't want to. Oh man, I left this over here. Oh man, I forgot that. Make sure your stuff is nice and neat. Make sure you got everything in your bag and put it here. Stack it neatly, and boom, you come back and get it. And then when you leave here, you leave it with everything that you put in this bag.
Yep. Yep.
So that's kind of really much how that really worked that week. And I do it for like all tournaments. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you know how it is.
Yeah.
Because if I can't get in contact with you, there's many a ways now to do things.
Yep. Yep. So
So
that's and like you said, like us as coaches, program directors, whatever we are, owners of our program, like we doing our part for our kids and making
yeah,
sure that our kids get exactly what they need to get. Like we shouldn't have to take that extra step to be like, hey, like, this is your tournament. Like
yeah,
if it was, X, Y, and Z from ESPN Top 100,
yeah,
we wouldn't have to worry about that. But now that, like you said, it's somebody more local and not even the simple fact that it's my son, you didn't do your part. And,
correct,
and like you said, like, regardless, that person or you familiar with them, you know, you should be doing your part because if it ain't my kid, I'm gonna say the same thing for another kid. Like
correct,
if it's another kid that's out here having a great game, you would be here.
correct.
And I experienced that personally when we went to where's we at? Iowa. We were in Iowa for a New Balance Next Pro circuit game, and this white kid, this Caucasian kid, he lit this team up, and it was against Asa Noel. Um, I think he's number 14 ranked, but this kid is not ranked at all. Cooked them bad, like 50.
Yeah,
But if he wasn't playing against Asa Noel, like would he get that recognition? Like, are we watching this kid? Like because
I don't
clearly
think
this is, you know what I'm saying? Like if it wasn't Asa, if he wasn't playing against their team, he's not getting the recognition that he deserves. And man, my kids, because they were watching the game, every one of my kids was like, "Yo, what's his Instagram? What's his name? Like, we want to follow this kid because
yeah,
he was a great kid. He was a great player." And it's just like, was everybody watching that should have been watching if it wasn't, somebody else that he was playing with. So
yeah,
I definitely agree. Last question. We got to actually compete against each other this summer, and it was a great game. It was a great game, and Josiah and then Jakai was going back and forth.
yeah.
And that first it was the first half.
First half, yeah,
Um, and man, like I just want to say that experience of getting to, compete against you, having our boys play against each other was, it was amazing because I got to see what your guys do, how they operate, and how they do things. And Josiah, I already knew. I'm telling my guys, I'm like, yo, he gonna come in, he gonna do what he gotta do. They like, all right. And I told them about him before we even started playing. I'm like, listen, exactly what's gonna happen. This is exactly how he gonna do things. And you know what? He came out, and I think the off rip, I think he got the dunk off rip. And my one kid looked at me, he was like, oh, coach wasn't playing. I said, yo, they gonna get it. But like just my thing is, or my question more so is like the experience you know, up in our area. I know you guys competed in last year's SFP Nationals. But just tell me a little bit about what it's like competing against, some Philly teams because you guys also competed against Team Committed. That's my guy Dante that coaches them. So just tell
gotcha.
me a little bit about the experience, this summer with the Philadelphia team.
Oh man, man. Believe it or not, I love East Coast basketball up top. My
Yeah,
dad's Brooklyn native. Grew up going to Brooklyn as a young kid when my dad was around up until I was about 9. Family reunions and seeing the different cultures. I even watched a man at the park in Brooklyn growing up. Man, because he missing layups, he got smacked. Like they kicked him off the court. Like it was a different. Like yo, you can't. Hey yo, son, get off the court. Like you can't be doing that. Like they really take this basketball stuff very seriously, from the dribbling to the making
yep,
down the open shot. So it's a must to travel up top, at least once a year to play. The kids has to see the physicality.
yep.
Kids have to hear the nonsense, the talking. They got to hear the language. They got to see the culture of it. I call it the Stephon Marbury crossover. They got to be able to see that. You know what I'm saying? I think the culture up top from Philly, Jersey, New York, the kids are different. Like, because
Yeah,
I think they eat, sleep, and bleed basketball. I mean, because a lot of them don't got indoor gyms. So where they playing at? They're outside.
outside. Yep.
So a lot of their training is outside. And then we already know how hot the summers can be in those areas. I mean, we get heat advisories where, they shut down the AC in a lot of those towers in Brooklyn and, in the area in New York where it's just hot in there because of the heat environment. You know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of those, you know, project buildings or a lot of those towers, is free electricity.
Yeah.
And so the city's paying for water. They're paying, you know what I'm saying? So they control that thermometer.
Yep.
there's
Yep.
no individual, thermostat in nobody's home inside this area because it's central air, in the
Yep.
building. So I think just taking them up there and just playing against those kids and teaching them how to, make you, hey, you got to get stronger. They're going to bully you a little bit. They're going to hit you somewhere you ain't been hit before. They're going to talk to you. They're going to, you know what I'm saying? And it's the same. The culture, I think the up top culture is the same as some of the Petersburg, Richmond kids and Baltimore kids. But those Petersburg, Richmond, Baltimore kids, they're a little more privileged in things because they train indoors. So I just try to just take them up there to see the difference thing so we can go outside and view. And then on top of that, man, you got to go out there and eat. I love to eat the food. Food up there. You got to go up there and get you let's say you got to, that's the first thing on the menu. I leave a day before just so I can enjoy a Philly cheesesteak, because we know once the tournament's going on, it's hard to get out of the gym when you got two
Yeah.
teams playing because you're there at 9 a.m. and then you ain't leaving until 9 p.m. And then by the time you leave the gym around 9:30, 10 o'clock, you got to
Everything
go wash
closed.
the uniform, everything
Yeah.
closed. And then you start eating, Burger King and McDonald's sometimes, or find you a sports bar with some half crap wings.
Right.
But
Right.
that culture was different. I even had opportunity, man, to take the kids to Vegas this year in Texas, man, and definitely a different culture there too. West
Yeah.
Coast ball is the best coast ball because I'm from the West Coast, born and raised. I
Yeah.
tell everybody,
I
man,
believe it. I believe it.
it's that my boys that went to Vegas this year, they'll tell you, man, they don't call a lot of stuff. So the dribbling is there. Like they call
Mhm.
those euros of travel. Like because California ain't used to doing that crap. They used to you going straight to the basket. Or I tell you, I kid you not, growing up, it was either we jumping over you or we jumping through you. It
Yep.
wasn't we going around you. So that's why everybody tell you I don't growing up, I wasn't big, but I was strong as an ox. Like I did them push it like I was in prison every night at the house. I was in the weight room, lightweight, a lot of reps. Like I
Yep.
can move a mountain, but I didn't look it. But I was
Yeah.
I was strong. You couldn't do anything. So when I went up to dunk on you, like I had that strong forearm ready to go through your throat.
Yep.
Like I'm coming up trying to cuff it and put it through your neck. So it's like, and it's still the same. And they went
Yeah.
out there and was getting fouled. They was complaining about the foul. I told them day one, when you get here, stop complaining. He fouling me, man. Man, go through
You
him.
don't want to hear it. Yep.
We don't want to hear it. Like
Yeah.
if it didn't change game 1 and we in game 4, what you going to eventually do?
Right.
So they did that. It was the same. We went to Texas, man. I took a couple. I want to take 10 more kids. Um, this year too. Went to the World Games in El Paso, Texas. I took 7 kids this year. I want to take 10 next year. You need 10 to go down there. We actually won that, played against various, Texas teams, and different cultures and stuff like that, and won the game. It was a tough finals. Um, Thanks to Jacob, Rudy Gay nephew, Jacob Wimbosh, man, that joker,
Okay.
he came alive. He didn't play as much, due to the heavy minutes, but I had to set him down a couple of things. But he learned a lot just from just traveling there and playing this summer. He still called me a day, coach, man. I learned a lot from you, blase blah. And I'm like, man, it's all about, like I said, when coaching, I coach the game, but I coach you how you should be literally carrying yourself as a young
Yeah.
man or young woman. And if you know how to carry yourself as a young man, a young woman off the court, you will be so successful on the court. And I
Yep.
think the calls and texts that I get today from helping kids get into finding a different private school, from trying to get them into college, or this is the first year I'm gonna have to deal with a lot of my guys leaving. My good group of kids are all either unsigned or class 2024.
Yeah.
So it's like a graduation year for me.
Yeah.
It's going to be very emotional. I'm a very emotional guy. But my 16U group is still dominant. So I just got to add
Yeah.
some piece to that, because you know how they monsters.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
So I'm looking forward to growing with that group. Hopefully, I applied to be in the EYCL, so hopefully that's a start to the EYBL.
Okay. Okay.
Of course, you got to win out. You actually got to, have one of the best records out of the EYCL to take it to Peace Jam and the July areas. But I feel like the guys that I got can compete at that
Yeah.
level. I think that is a great opportunity for them to say, "Hey, we can do it," type
Right.
deal. So, and we know I don't got the big name dollars to be straight to the EYBL. So I figure this will be a stepping stone to say, hey, look at this. This man is actually building something here with this group. And all the intangibles I have off the court will help me, do a lot of other things. So hopefully we get accepted. If
Yep.
not, be back on the grind of what we're doing and trying to forever be a part of something. It's hard being a circuit team somewhere, man. I promise you, it's so hard.
Yeah.
If you don't got the finances or you don't got the big name, it's just really, 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 really hard. So, but we're
I
gonna
know
play
all
some
about
very,
that.
very good teams though.
Okay.
So
Okay. Hey man, I appreciate it. I do want to kind of just again give you your props. We was talking a little bit before we started, and I want to say congrats on the recruiting job at
yeah, Catonsville,
Catonsville,
Catonsville, yeah, Catonsville Community
Catonsville
College,
Community College.
correct.
And you know you just again you taking stepping stones of doing what's right for the kids and getting kids into programs and helping kids get to the next step. So definitely kudos to you on that, and kudos to you on everything that you're doing. Um, Man, just again from meeting you last year and me being kind of still understanding how all this stuff works. You giving me a lot of knowledge. Even though we don't talk every day, from watching you on Instagram, seeing what you're doing. You just got something else from Dick's Sporting Goods, and I see everything like that. I'm like, man, like I want to get to that level. I want to get to the point where I can continue to push kids out, help kids with whatever we can do, to get them to the next level and the level that they want to
And
get
it's
to.
very hard, man. And first of all,
Yeah,
first and foremost, Cardinal Nation 5-0 right now. We 5-0 out the year.
that's what's up. That's what's
Um,
up.
I just want to elaborate on that real fast. Like
Yep.
doing the JUCO route, I think it's meant for me, honestly. I big shout out to Coach TJ Prelude, giving me this opportunity. I'm very, very humble for it. But I think the JUCO route, there's not a lot of money there. I tell everybody that, but it's an opportunity. Opportunity to continue doing. I think what I'm doing now with the underserved, student athletes. I think a lot of it is second chance athletes, and I'm big on. I think I'm a second chance person of helping being that teacher, because I give a lot of life lessons based on personal experience. I
Right.
got a lot of stuff that a lot of these kids are dealing with. Personally, I've kind of been there because I had to take the long route. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Like I tell everybody, I didn't know how to read or write out of high school. I didn't. I flunked. I had all. I can show you a transcript. My first college semester was all Fs. But who would you think today would have 2 master's degrees? In
Right.
what I do today. By again hard work, dedication. Putting the effort. You can't teach that. And
Yep.
I taught myself to do that. So I figure if I'm able to give my story to those who actually suffering or going through the same problems I went through, I could probably make it easier for you if you want to listen. I can't
Right.
force you to listen, but if you want to listen. And I think I just love talking about my story because I feel like if I can give you that knowledge, this will help you get over the hump. And it has helped a few kids, at the
Yeah.
JUCO level, make it out. It's just, even some kids make it out of high school being able to do that. And like I donated, some sporting equipment to community college from Cali Elite. They needed this because it's not a lot of money there. And
Right.
I figure, well, shoot, now I can start helping them. You know what I'm saying? Do what we can do as far as even if it's some simple roller, stretching bands, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So whatever it is, man, I can do to try to help kids, just to give them a chance,
Yeah.
and just being able to be in charge of. And I think I have an eye for second chance student athletes. So I think being able to sit in that recruiting role will benefit the program.
That's what's up. Well, man, I ain't gonna keep you. Again, I appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna keep on the lookout. Gotta see my boy get in somewhere and be playing somewhere this
Hopefully, man. I
next
don't know
summer.
I don't know where this black hole is with him. No offers,
He
very
he's
little interest. It's very intriguing to see where he ends up.
yeah,
I mean, even if we go prep, I may have to take that route based on because of course, after National Signing Day, a lot of Division I schools are tied up.
right. Right.
So there's a very slim chance of him getting he may land a big name program, but it's very hard. I tell everybody I've been through the recruiting stages, so when I speak to it, a lot of coaches and listen to him speak, you can't run the silly dilly conversations past me because I know what you mean. I know if you're serious or not. Like, don't waste our time type conversation.
Right. Right.
So don't do that. Like I think that needs to get better in the recruiting game. Just stop playing with kids' lives because again, you're playing. It's not like I said. I tell everybody, it's not about my son. I'm taking these experiences and taking it back to the world. Like,
Yep.
just imagine you doing that to the next kid, and then bam, you cut him off, or you stop texting him, you stop calling him. Like, you're playing with his livelihood of what he wants to do. So either
Exactly.
you interested or you're not interested.
Exactly.
I think that's where the recruiting game needs to get more. It needs to get more clear cut
Yep.
because again, getting hopes up is not what you want, and then again, mental health is real. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Kids start to go, they lose it.
Yeah.
But I can't
Yeah.
teach. I'm not going to tell you how to run your program, but I just feel like when it comes to communicating for futures, it needs to become more clear cut. So, I mean, no offers, no interest at the time. I mean, very little interest, but again, hopefully something to fall. But if not, we'll just take the post grad route and see where it takes us. I think if he does go to the 2025 route for post grad, he may land something. We got some big name programs reaching out for post grad, so
Okay.
that's definitely a must. But I think with the saturated East Coast of guards, and he has dominated a majority of them already
Yeah.
from top to
Yeah.
bottom, whether you're ranked or not ranked. I think it's time for him to get out of here.
Yeah.
So he needs to shift himself to either Texas or California or Arizona and see where it takes him as far as post grad, and I can go out
Right.
there and do what he do because they haven't seen him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's crazy that his talents hasn't really been seen. Like like I told you, when we went to Vegas, like what he did it was phenomenal. Like a
Yeah.
coach, like who is this kid? Never seen him a day in his life. So that may have to be the route. I love the East Coast area, but again, a lot of big time ball players had to leave the area to make it.
Yeah. So it's all a part of the plan, and God has a will and He has a way,
Yeah,
and I know He'll definitely do that for you guys because, like you said, whatever that you're doing, it's helping people, and you guys have a story, and He'll have His own story, and He'll write His own
correct.
story,
I
and
totally. And everyone's story is different. So I
yep,
tell everybody
yep,
that too. Your story may be, you may be 2 years and done at a JUCO following your career. That what I'm saying. So live the best of it. So
most definitely, most definitely. I appreciate you for coming on. And we'll continue to chat.
yes, sir.
That's a wrap. I appreciate you guys. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.